Hey, there we are. It jumped in. And just in time, I'm hearing the noon whistle now, right outside my house. Hey, everybody. Good afternoon again. Welcome back to another of our Milwaukee Chamber Theater Artist Chats. My name is Brent Hazelton. I'm Milwaukee Chamber Theater's incoming artistic director. Super excited today to hang out with Kwasi Stampley for a little bit, who is one of the most interesting young musicians, I think, in connected to Milwaukee right now. Just a super creative, multi-talented, multidisciplinary human being. So thanks for hanging out, Kwasi. Appreciate it. It's so good to see you.
Yeah. No, I'm really excited to be here. When I heard about it, I was super like stoked, super not nervous, but like I knew this was something that I really wanted to do.
Yeah, awesome. I'm so glad. And one of the reasons we're doing this now is that Friday night, we're going to actually get you on the page to play a live set before the weekly virtual piano bar that we're doing, which I'm even more excited about to actually be able to share some of your art with everybody. So let's start there. You're a musician. What do you do? What do you make? What do you play? What do you consider yourself as an artist?
Yeah. Okay. So this has been a question I've been trying to figure out myself. But what I've come to understand is that I think I'm just a person. Like, you know how like a baby or something just listens to sounds and it's just like, oh, I don't know what this is for. That's how I am. The only difference is that I studied like jazz guitar for about
Uh-huh.
6 or 7 years. So my perception is very focused on theory and music and things like that. But I promise you, like I walk around with my phone at Walmart and I just record people talking and I just throw it in my DAW and Logic, and then I just play some music over it. So honestly, I love expression, and I think right now I express myself more articulately through guitar,
Huh.
bass. I'm working on piano. I have a solid foundation, and yeah, I think that's what I am right now. I think I'm an artist who's focused on instrumental music.
Yeah. Interesting. But you also sing a little bit, right? Or do I have that wrong? Because I think I've heard you before.
Yeah, the singing is actually my favorite part, low key.
Okay.
I think I wouldn't call myself a singer. I would call myself just like a normal person. Like I wouldn't say I'm a vocalist or anything like that.
Yeah.
But I feel very strongly, like emotionally, when I sing, and I
Hmm.
think people either relate to that or they don't. But personally, once I get it out there, I just forget about it. Honestly.
Nice. So when did you first pick up a guitar? How old were you?
I don't know the age, but I was in the fourth grade. So
Okay.
is that like 10 or something like that?
Ish, yeah, yeah. And you're what, 19 now?
Yeah, I turned 19 May 30th, so in a few weeks.
Oh, not even 19 yet. Unbelievable. So you've been playing for just under 10 years then.
I guess so. Whoa. Yeah. Okay, so I could tell you
Half
my
your life.
yeah, I wow, I never really thought of it that way because it feels like I was only aware of the guitar a few years ago.
Uh-huh.
But I guess my artist journey for guitar was like a fourth grade thing. My mom had me playing classical music. And, I didn't think that's what I was signing up for. I thought I was going to be like a super cool guitar head in middle school.
Uh-huh.
But, when you're studying like, Beethoven and like Fur Elise, all those stuff, you're not really what you want it to be. But
Sure.
you're learning a crazy foundation that has actually really served me. So I think middle school is when I started listening to like cool music, started listening to like pop, and then I started like being introduced to hip hop.
Hmm.
So that's the funniest thing. So all my jazz friends think I'm hilarious because I'll like quote like Little Uzi or like Drake as my influence. And they're like, "Wait, so who are your influences for your music you make?" And I'll be like Wes Montgomery, Drake, Charlie Parker, Lil Uzi, Travis Scott. And they're like, "That is the craziest list. Like that doesn't work." But I think it was just funny because my environment didn't support what I was doing,
Sure.
but I was still doing it. So it's been pretty cool.
That's cool. But you make it work. I mean, you bring all those influences together into something that is kind of fundamentally unique. Yeah, it's exciting. I guess talk a little bit about that, like how you blend this sort of classical formal training education background with what sort of where your heart takes you as a listener or as a musician.
Yeah. Okay. I think the way I would best describe it is I think I'm a leader who follows a lot. So
Okay.
that's been like my defining trait. So when I find something, it's like I can only focus on one thing. But when I'm looking for something, I'm aware of everything. And I don't think I have the strongest bias when it comes to receiving things. So I think that's the reason why I really was able to incorporate a lot of different things early on. So in my environment, I went to like go to my year was the middle school in
Hmm.
Milwaukee. But prior to that, I was in New York City and I went to a school called PS8. And then prior to that, we lived in Chicago. So I was just like following like just my parents pretty much, just going to different places, seeing different things, seeing how music was used differently.
Uh-huh.
But at no point was I like, this is my genre, this is my favorite style. It was always just like, this is an option. So when I was studying jazz, I was like, wow, like these cats are fire, like just amazing.
Yeah.
But this is just an option. And since the world of jazz is so large, I think a lot of my peers see jazz as the world they want to live in.
Mm.
And that's beautiful. But for me, I saw jazz as a world I could live in. And then I saw classical as a world I could live in. And then I saw hip hop as a world based off the other worlds. And I was like, whoa. So it never stops. So I don't want to stop. So yeah, I have a bunch of friends, a couple of shout outs. I have a friend named Sid from India, and he hipped me to like Carnatic music. So now I've been studying like just Indian classical music and just things from different worlds, like different countries. And I think that has shaped my influence so that now I'll do like a hip hop concert and everyone will be rapping. And then I'll just do something that's like completely from a different language.
Yeah.
Everyone's, you know, they receive it well because I think I receive their music well.
Mm.
So it's no like competition, it's more like collaborative spirit. So I don't know if that explains it a bit, but my head has never really been stuck. It's like I'm always moving.
No, that's a beautiful place to live in. Just open to whatever the world is sending you or showing you at that moment and figuring out how to add that part or add that piece to what you're already doing. I mean, that's a, yeah, it's such a great place. It's a great space to be in artistically, where you're just taking in and not rejecting anything. And that's exciting.
Yeah,
So,
it's almost like freedom from
mhm.
it's freedom, but knowing that you're stuck. So like I knew I was stuck in the jazz language, and I didn't think it was stuck because being a high schooler who like plays jazz,
Mhm.
no one thinks you're stuck. They think, wow, you're going places. But then when I went to Canada just recently and studied there for like a year, everyone was doing Celtic music, and like
Really?
yeah, and I was like, whoa, like,
What? Why? What's up with that?
right. I didn't even know what that was. But the reason I guess they're doing it is because they have a really strong Irish heritage.
Hmm.
And so these people have been living in the States as Irish people, or not the States, sorry, in Canada as Irish people to the root. Like they still feel so connected to Ireland and such.
Interesting.
Right. Versus here, you know, we blended cultures. Everyone's like a melting pot of different influences. But there it was very like rigid. It was like, no, like my great 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 grandfather like was a founder of this country. Like I know where this music comes from. And so all these people were doing all these Celtic gigs. And of course there are these super heavy blues cats and like really intense rock music. And I'm just the one jazz kid, just like walking in. And I would play and people would be like, whoa, as if I was speaking like Mandarin or something, which
Yeah.
I thought was cool until I wanted to actually perform. I was like, whoa, these people want to hear their music. And that's when it clicked for me. It's like, oh, jazz is a language that I can use to learn different languages. And that's when I started picking up the bass and I just was like, you know, I'm going to humble myself. I'm going to stop being, you know, the jazz cat, the dude who does innovative new stuff. I'm just going to play bass for a Celtic band. And you just go doom, 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 just the whole time. And
Uh-huh.
it's sick. It's super cool. Like I didn't realize how much fun it was because there was too much pride and too much bias involved.
Hmm.
But once I took a step back and just watched how the audience was receiving it, I was like, oh, I'm missing the whole point. So I think that's sort of how my like collaborative mindset really like solidified. Because I'm like, oh, America is not the world. And that understanding made me just love all of like every single form of art. Because it's not a competitive world. It's
Yeah.
just a world. And you can perceive it however you want. And I guess I'm starting to perceive it the way I choose to. And it's just a bit more fun this way.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's a richer world the more influence you let in there and the different things that happen. That's cool. Got a few more people have jumped on with us. Again, I'm Brent Hazelton, Milwaukee Chamber Theater's incoming artistic director, talking today with local musician Kwasi Stampley. Or local. I mean, you've been all over the place. What do you consider home? Is Milwaukee home for you, or is sort of wherever your guitar is home?
Whoa, that's a good quote. I need to use that. I was just talking about this. So I spent a year in Canada studying music, and next fall I'll be in Boston. And
No, you're not. But say where in Boston. You can't just be like, "Oh, I'll be in Boston next fall." You don't get to do that.
yeah, so I'm fortunate enough to be going to Berklee College of Music. That's like a dream of mine personally.
Amazing. It's so amazing.
So yeah, I think now that I'm seeing how my life is set up, I don't have a home. Home is not a concept I grasped.
Mm-hmm.
I think the concept I grasped is that I'm leaving wherever I stop. So in Canada, I was there, and so I left.
Mm-hmm.
And in Milwaukee, I'm here now, so I'm going to leave. So I just see things as a place that's going to take me somewhere else.
Yeah.
So even when I'm home, like with my parents, chilling, like playing the Wii, playing video games, I feel like I'm overseas because I'm like, this is so comfortable, but I know I'm not going to be here forever. It feels like a vacation everywhere I go.
Sure. That's really interesting. And what's the name of the school you go to in Canada?
Holland College.
Nice. And that's so you did 1 year there, and then you're gonna go do your last, what, 2 or 3 years at Berklee?
Yeah. So I did 1 year in Holland, and Holland was supposed to be like a gateway school
Mm-hmm.
that has the same curriculum and leads you up to Boston.
Okay.
And yeah, it was great. I definitely see why being an artist is what I chose. I was telling my mom, I was like, I think I have multi dimensions. Like I can be extremely practical and
Mm-hmm.
extremely impractical. And then I can see the balance, but I'm never the balance. I'm always extreme on either end.
Interesting.
Right. And I think Canada made me extremely spiritual and extremely more in touch with my inner self. And so when I went back to New York, I was like in culture shock. I was like, whoa, like there's all these lights. There's like a million people in the airport. People were like touching me, asking me questions, but they didn't really care. They just needed to get past. Versus in Canada, people were stopping if I had my guitar in and asking me if I needed a ride. But
Oh, wow.
I just got home and they're going to drive me home. And so it's a whole different thing. So I don't really know, honestly.
That's
But
fascinating. And now you've mentioned mom like 3 times now. We should just say that mom is Malkia Stampley, who everybody in the city of Milwaukee knows. And if they couldn't see the resemblance, then now they know. So what do you want to do ultimately? Do you want to be a touring musician? Do you want to record? Do you want to compose? A little bit of all of that? What do you think right now, at least, you're working toward?
okay, so when I started, I had a very big like vision. And I think I was in high school and I was telling all my friends, I was like, guys, I think I want to be an artist. Like I think I want to do concerts. I want to be a rapper. I want to be cool. Like that was the frame of mind.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I grew past that with the same goal in mind. So like my goal has always been to impact people with a positive message, but that was so vague. Like I didn't even know what that really meant. It just sounded cool. Yeah, right. And so the more I started to do shows, the more I realized I'm not really trying to impact these people. I'm trying to impact myself.
Mm.
I think my goals have started to change more and more. So I think now I'm in a headspace a few years in where my goal is to show myself my potential. Because for someone like me, like being around like actors as parents and all my friends are like super killer artists. And then I have friends from my high school who are like studying politics and like trying to be doctors and like go to Harvard. And so I'm like, okay, these are different avenues of extremes. And I was like, I can thrive wherever I choose to be, but I lose interest so quick. And I think it's because I was looking at others and their drives. And so now I'm in a space where my ultimate drive is just to see my potential because I don't know. And I don't want to be the person who's doing everything for a fake cause.
Mm.
I think my real cause now is to see, like, I know I can help, but I can't want to help just people. Like, I have to be able to help myself, and I have to be able to help the universe, like provide value musically. Like, I listen to like Charlie Parker records. If Charlie Parker didn't record those, I don't know where I would be right now. So I'm trying to think just holistically in a way that I'm adding all of my skill sets so that I can truly have something to look back at and say, wow, I know what I could have been because I did it.
Amazing. Man, that's just a remarkable and beautiful outlook on an artistic life. That's great. I will definitely try to hold on to that when I jump off of this and go spend the next 3 hours working on budget spreadsheets. That's going to be that's some good fuel. So what just in terms of where you're at right now. So you're back in Milwaukee right now, right? School's done for the year.
Yes.
So how are you keeping busy right now? Are you using this as time to are you really working on your craft? Are you composing? Or are you finding this to not be a very creative time for you? I mean, where's your head and your heart at right now?
Yeah. When I got back, I made sure to be alone for most of the time because I didn't want to become American too quick.
Oh yeah, that there's a lot to unpack in there. All right, we'll come back to that. Keep going.
I didn't want to become American too quick. And what that means to me is like in Canada, I had built a family where it was just the people I wanted to be around.
Mhm.
And I guess they call it like a social circle. But I built a network of people that offered me value and that in return I tried my best to offer them value, but every single day. So like I would be there, it would be like 7 of us, we're all artists, or some of us are like booking agents or promoters or just whatever we do. And we're all in like a room once a week, if not every day, encouraging each other to move forward, sharing information, being like, yo, I know you're interested in this, but here's some orchestral music because I can see that you don't do that. So you should try it. And just like pushing each other in ways that only we can. And that nurtured my mind because it showed me the habits of someone who lives for this, as opposed to the habits of a high schooler who is finding a little bit of fun and maybe some progress in that area. So shifting that mindset to like, no, I live for my purpose was something I didn't want to lose. And in America, that's what America was for me. It's like not really knowing my purpose, but knowing what everyone thought it was. And so I knew what it was and I didn't want to forget. So I came back and I spent most of my time alone, just trying to really isolate, listen to records every day,
Mhm.
like practice all my instruments like notoriously, and really just like hone in on that habit so that it could carry through. So that was the mindset I came in with. And that started to lead to a couple of things where like certain artists from Milwaukee were reaching out to me and saying, yo, can you do this cover for this song?
Oh, sweet.
And I was like, yeah, I would love to do that because I'm back. Like I'm back in the city. Like I'm not in Canada, like forgetting everything. Like I'm back home. But home was a place now where I could see different things. So yeah, when I first got back, it wasn't too crazy in terms of like being lonely or feeling like there's no progress because I felt like I was going overseas again to like a new place. So I was going to the same stores, my old high school, but seeing it completely differently. Just seeing all the difference, seeing my friends and how they've changed. And I was like, whoa, like we're different people now. This is great. Now I can learn new things from you. And you can learn new things from me. And I don't feel stuck. And that moved on into getting the groove of things. And once I did that, I realized I wasn't a balanced person. I was extreme again. I was like, I'm living in a world of a musician or an artist. But I think I was hesitant for the States because the States is a world where I'm fully aware of different avenues outside of art. Like I wouldn't have been in Canada for any other reason than art.
Mhm.
So of course my mindset was, wow, this is so artistic. The world is so artistic. It's beautiful. But being an American, it's like I know business people. Like I know the the process of paying rent or paying mortgage. I know the schoolwork that needs to be done. I know the barbershop. Like I know real people who play sports even. And
Mhm.
I'm like, whoa, like sports is not something I was aware of for a whole year. And so that like seeing that the world is not just for you, you're just a part of it, that was humbling again. So I felt like I relearned a lesson that I chose to forget in order to move forward, but I had to relearn it. And so now I think I'm in a more balanced position where I can spend quality time with like my family and not just be thinking, oh, I got to shed Charlie Parker. I got to learn this new lick. I got to improve. I got to get better. Now I can like enjoy time with them, like reach out to my old friends, be like, yo, I'm not like floating on some cloud where I'm just an artistic genius and everyone loves me. Like I'm a real person. Like I'm just some corny dude who likes to plug strings out there. Like that's okay. And so that's where I am now. I'm starting to become a real person again.
Uh-huh.
And it's cool. It's cool. Like I'm trying to do like workout routines, trying to eat healthy. I don't know. I'm trying to be a normal person, but when I'm alone, I'm not. Like I'm just like floating, just an
Yeah.
artist tapped into what I would say a different world of like creativity and spirituality. But I'm trying to like keep that there and not lose like being a human.
Well, and that's the trick of growing, right? Is that you can't grow or develop yourself in every avenue all at once, right? You gotta take some time and focus on something else, and sometimes that focus involves you forgetting this other thing for a while or putting it on the back burner. But you know it's always there to come back and add back to that mix, and it's like a, I don't know, a artistic collaboration of any kind, right? That the way we're sort of talking about building the self, is really it's fascinating. A couple more folks have come on here. Just remind everybody that you're going to be sharing your art with us on Friday night, starting at 7 o'clock here on Milwaukee Chamber Theater's Facebook page, right before our weekly virtual piano bar. So anybody who's watching who normally comes to that, stop by an hour earlier and check out what Kwasi has for you. So you can say, 10 years from now, when he's standing up there with an arm full of Grammys, like, oh, I remember that dude when he played on this random Facebook page once. Be able to say when. It'll be good. So in terms of what you are going to play Friday night, I mean, just preview that a little bit. Like you and a guitar, or you and a guitar and some samples from your keyboard, or what? Like what's in store for us?
Yeah, yeah. So I was thinking about that for a little bit, just thinking about different artists who do what I do in their own way.
Hmm.
And I noticed that an avenue that I never really exploit is my guitar playing. Like I am a guitarist, but I just choose not to play it. And for me, that was like the only flaw that I saw as a benefit because I was like, I overplay and I overdo things and I get too caught up in this world. But the world of like a singer or like a producer is not the world of a guitarist. Like they're different worlds that interact, but they're different. And I think this time I'm gonna embrace it a bit more. So yeah, I'm gonna do of a bit of my solo guitar compositions. I'm gonna try to incorporate some like real jazz and or some solo guitar jazz. And then I'm also gonna feature the bass a little bit, try to get that in there. But essentially, I'm gonna have a moment where I create a song where I just like do all the parts of it and just make it on the spot, see what happens.
Nice.
Yeah, and then I'm gonna do the individual parts of songs I've already made. So they're gonna be different than the original recordings. But I was put onto the idea that people like to see what you made. So, like people listen to a rap song, they're like, oh, that's a cool beat or instrumental. But I think that's how people look at my music as well. And I think I need to show people the process more because it's
Yeah.
interesting. So I'm gonna do that mostly. So I'm gonna be recording some vocals. You guys are gonna be in the studio with me for the most part.
Super interesting. No, that is super interesting because that's the part that most people, I think, who aren't musicians or don't spend a lot of time, deep in music documentaries, don't really get to see. how it all actually comes together and the science there too. So when you are you just in terms of the recording engineer side of it then, right? Is that a self-taught thing, or is that now just sort of part of a musical education?
So I'm gonna study music production and composition at Berkeley.
Okay.
Soon it's gonna be an asset that I will use, but right now it's I don't know. I feel like it's a trick of the trade for any struggling artist. So when
Uh-huh.
I was like a sophomore in high school, I had headphones in and I plugged them into my computer, and that's how I recorded things, just like on GarageBand, and just went for it. And it's kind of cringe, but it's funny that after like 5 years, that's my favorite stuff. I'm like, man, if I could just record with my headphones, like the audio like timbre and the distortion is kind of cool after you've learned how to do it professionally. So
Yeah.
right now I've built up about a few years of experience and a lot of mentorship with different DAWs and such. So right now I think it's something that I do because at first no one would do it for me. Like no one would actually record my stuff. And I was just
Mhm.
another kid saying, "Hey guys, give me a chance."
Sure.
Nah, like I don't want to, whatever, prove it. And so I made a song, sent it to everyone, and they laughed. They thought it was so funny. And it sucked. Like it actually sucked. But not because it was like, not for like the ambiguous reason where it's like, oh, creativity, you gotta be open to everything. It sucked because I was trying so hard
Hmm.
to do something that I didn't need to be doing. Like I
Hmm.
was trying to sing like Mariah Carey or something. And it was like, wait a second. Like, who are you? You're not that. Relax, relax.
Yeah.
And that was beautiful. Like having everyone dislike it was perfect. Cause then I went right under the radar for like 2, 3 years
Hmm.
where I could just practice recording, like practice sucking, but not having to hear about it.
Yep.
And that was perfect because then I started buying like professional equipment, saving up money, doing shows that paid me, and then using all of that money to buy equipment. And just now I'm at a point where like some really cool opportunities that happened. Like CBC Radio is Canada Broadcasting, and it's a really cool place. I think it's like the government funded radio station or something like
Hmm.
that. And they asked me to create like a theme song for it. And I
Oh
was
wow.
yeah, I was like right before like COVID happened. They were like, "Yeah, submit it, and then we'll look at our options, and then hopefully we'll choose yours. If not, then we'll let you know, and you could do a different segment and such." And I was like, "Wow, like this is something I could only have done if I was a self-sufficient producer." And
Yep.
I look back a few years ago, and I'm like, I don't see myself as someone who would want to be creating like soundtracks for like movies and such. That's what I would have told myself. But now I'm like, that's what I'm doing. So I think it all feeds each other. What you aren't good at will soon become something you should have tried at least.
Hmm.
And that's like my mindset altogether. Yeah.
Yeah, that's so great. And but the fact that you're not waiting for somebody else to give you permission to get your stuff out there, right? Because you can do it yourself. I mean, that's huge. And with all the, who knows what permanent changes this particular health crisis we're in are going to bring. But I don't think any artist is going to do themselves a disservice if they can be more in control of the distribution of their own art, the creation of it, how you get it into the world. I mean, so you're leg up on everybody else right now, which is it's
It's
great.
so funny because like that perspective on like that perspective is so different from mine because I'm around people who like do production. Like they do that. And I look at them and I'm just studying, just taking
Yep.
notes. Because like they'll be like my best friends, but they're producers. And so they'll be like, "Man, I love your track. Like, how'd you mix and master it?" And I was like, "Oh, I just have my headphones and a speaker." And they laugh and they're like, "You did a pretty good job for just a headphone and speakers." But my mind doesn't say, "Wow, I did something good." I'm like, "Wait, what should I be doing?
Right.
Like, why is this a surprise? I thought everyone did this."
Yeah.
And
What's the next step? How do I do it better?
exactly. And so that's how I see it from a more like I'm just trying to just push and push and push forward. And then when I take a break, people are like, "Whoa, that's good." And I'm like, "Whoa, like what happened?" Like it's almost like a shock because I'm in a trance. And
Mhm.
then I come back to real life and I'm like, "Oh, people appreciate this." And so it's a cool, like heartwarming experience when people appreciate it. So I appreciate that. But honestly, it's like just moving forward, just trying to improve.
Yeah. Keep it up. That's the only way to go. Always forward. Always forward. That's it. All right, folks. That is our time, believe it or not. These always go by so quickly, and I wish I could spend just hours chatting, but budgets and whatnot, because that's what we do in the nonprofit theater right now is play with numbers all day, every day. But thanks so much for those of you who hung out with us. Really, always great to have you here. Again, he's Kwasi Stampley, local Milwaukee born, bred, raised, trained, whatever. Uh, all around creative musical artist, and is going to be back here Friday at 7 o'clock on the page playing. So please come back, join us then. No admission charge, but I'm sure he'll have a Venmo tip jar or something up there, and you should throw something in that tip jar if you can. I'm Brent Hazelton, Milwaukee Chamber Theater's incoming artistic director. I'll be back tomorrow at noon talking with local actor and director Laura Gordon. So please join us back here for that. Thank you again so much, Kwasi. Such a pleasure to talk to you, and so appreciate your time.
Oh, thank you. This was so much fun. We should do it again sometime.
We should. We'll see you Friday night.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a good day.